Hello everyone, we are back. We are back with the series Road to Superbowl. We are still on a mission to actually record all the videos before the draft. We don't have much time. It's like a month for all of this to come out. So if you could show me some appreciation about liking these videos or letting me know how you enjoy the series, whether you do or not, it would prove to be like a good source of motivation. But no matter what, this is my quest. I still have a job to do with this, but I feel like it just speaks volume about how much I really like talking about the NFL, like talking teams, and yeah, here we go. Let's roll. So today we are here with Arizona Cardinals. If you are a first time viewer, let's just refresh what the series is all about. We are talking about every single NFL team and trying to predict or judge their moves. Basically, take you inside the mind of not a fan, not a head coach, but inside of the mind of general management, how they approach this situation, how they optimize money, how they try to figure out where their window is, when their window is, and how to actually make this team going to Super Bowl and hopefully win it. When in the timeline, where are they on the timeline, and who are maybe the players that they should be counting to get them there, or players or even coaches. So no further ado, let's talk about Cardinals. As you guys know it, we will go and do a roster rundown in terms of weaponry, O-line, D-line, linebackers, secondary and coaches. And with every single team, we have three important topics to discuss that I feel like are the key for them going forward, how they approach their future. So here, it's a next step. It's a next step of a rebuild because with Arizona, I have to start by crediting them for their last offseason. I feel like they were actually true to themselves. First of all, it starts with Kyler Murray. And whether the conversation is like we actually trust he's our guy, he's the next great thing, he's the top QB, or the conversation is yeah, we are paying him like one, and unless we want to end up in a situation like Denver when we take massive dead cap hit, we have to roll with him. So whether it was one way or the other, they clearly made a resolution. We are not trying to lose ourselves into Caleb conversation. Whether it's because we trust in Kyler or because it just would be such a crazy amount of money that you would have to stomach. Like, let's see Denver situation, this would be a very similar one. Does it really matter? Kind of not. I guess it matters to Kyler, it matters to guys there, but in sense of whether they made the right choice, it doesn't matter what was the incentive because I feel like they made the right choice because of that. But the 2023 was the first part of a rebuild for Arizona. But I don't feel like it's necessarily when you actually make the decision that you are trying to rebuild what you are doing. It's not the hardest thing in the world to point out to the guys that you don't count to be the guys for you in 2 or 3 years. Try to get out of their contracts, stomach the dead cap hits in the season when you are not presumably trying to be the most competitive team. You are not optimizing your quality of your team for 2023, 2024. And I don't think it's the hardest part. It's really hard to actually commit yourself to doing that. Maybe Saints could eventually figure out that that's something they need to do. Maybe we get into them later in this series, but after that, I don't think it's necessarily the hardest job to do the first step because it's really math question of quality, question of decline of the guys, and identifying the pieces you want to try in the process. Like the harder part of it is like how to do it while trying to stay competitive, while trying to develop other guys, to, like give them some mentors and actually like not get their confidence breakdown in terms of like, yeah, we are this losing team. So we are still trying to build some momentum, especially because you were not trying to be in the conversation for the number one pick. That's also why you roll with Kyler Murray when he was healthy. So I actually like this approach because to me it signals, yeah, we know what we are doing. We are trying to be competitive within that time frame. We are trying to give our young players confidence while identifying who are the guys that we want to go moving forward with. So I really like what you have done. I think there needs to be a lot of credit put into this general management and the head coach Jonathan Gannon. But as for 2024 off season, to me it's a bit of a lackluster so far, because you have some money to spend, and you are not doing that. Whether it's you didn't want to overpay and you are waiting to make a big splash right now, whether it's like T. Higgins, I actually thought it might be for L'Jarius Sneed, but he's now a Titan. I hope that you are not done, because if you are, I feel like, yeah, that's maybe you see or trust your guys more than I trust them, like the guys that you already have, or you want to make like intentionally slow the process and focus on development of your players, because again you have a shit ton of draft picks for the season, right? So I'm not necessarily against that, but I was as a general manager of this team, if I was that, I would be more aggressive in the free agency. But again, it's not like a big knock. I feel like they deserve benefit of doubt, that they definitely know what they are doing. In terms of Jonathan Gannon, we will talk about him more when we go to the coaches part of this video. And Marvin Harrison, he's going to be part of the conversation regarding the weaponry. So let's go and let's check out what Arizona Cardinals actually has to offer in terms of their weaponry. And you guys, you know the drill. If you are a first time viewer, now we will go through some collectible cards that I've designed for the players, so you can actually see their faces, see how they look. For some, maybe you don't see that much of their faces, but I like the pose they made, or like the picture itself. So on the first page, Kyler Murray, Desmond Ridder, James Conner. Second, like your running back depth in Michael Carter, Amari DeMarcado, DJ Dallas. And then some wide receivers that you actually have. Zach Pascal, Michael Wilson, Greg Dortch. And maybe someone you don't have anymore in Marquise Brown, but your tight ends in Trey McBride and Elijah Higgins. Oh, sorry. And now we go and check out what's what in terms of the contracts that these guys have. Before we absolutely dive into this, I feel like in terms of money, the Cardinals are in a good spot. They have about 30 million in cap space right now. They will add some much more after they release DJ Humphries, who is designed to be released post June 1. And they don't have that many or close to no money pushed into the future, so they are not like playing with a huge depth down the line. And in terms of that cap for the season, it's about 14 millions. Most of it's like Zach Ertz, JJ Watt, etc. So we're nothing very impactful, like kind of the ordinary stuff. So obviously, when you go with weaponry, you have to start with Kyler Murray, and to me, Kyler Murray is a top 10 QB in the league. When I try to make rankings of QBs, I much more enjoy to putting them into tiers rather than into order, because I feel like, for example, I would have the same tier for Jared Goff and Kyler Murray. But if Jared Goff was in the situation that Kyler is in Arizona, I feel like he would be doing a worse job than Kyler. But that doesn't make Kyler necessarily a better QB, because I feel like the system that's in place in Detroit actually brings the most out of Jared Goff, and I feel like he uses that system better than Kyler would. So when you talk about the quality of QBs, I feel like you need to take situation into account, and that's why who is a better QB? I think it's more like they are in the same tier, and their coaches trying to bring the best out of them with their system, and I absolutely love that. So I feel like Kyler, you are paying him top bucks, and he is the guy that I believe can lead you to a Super Bowl. He can be a reason why you win a Super Bowl, despite him not being in that tier 1 QB where I have Lamar Jackson, Joe Burrow, Josh Allen, and obviously Patrick Mahomes. Who actually I might put into tier 0 in a way, because to me, maybe it's time to start talking about GOAT stuff, because this guy's, he's something. He is really something, man. I mean, it's he's not even 30, and I like to talk, and I'm talking about comparing him to Tom Brady, who is the GOAT. But man, oh man, I am really, really bought into this guy as maybe a future GOAT. Maybe it's time to have this conversation right now, because what he's doing, the way he can turn it up when it matters the most. Yeah. But okay, let's go back to Arizona. So I feel like with Kyler there was a lot of narratives before the last season. Whether it was his Call of Duty time that made this narrative actually sound more tuned up, or it was a semblance of hate on Cliff Kingsbury, that he was viewed as kind of part of that, the failure of Cliff Kingsbury. I'm not sure. It could be a combination of that. It could also be the worries about his injury, whether he can come back and still have that elite speed that make him an absolute dual threat to deal with. But as we talked, the idea that they would try to lose themselves up for Caleb Williams and stomach that contract with Kyler, that was just never something I bought into, because it just didn't make any sense. And I'm really happy for Kyler, because he came back on the pitch and he proved that he is the guy. To me, he is absolutely the guy. And if anything, maybe after 2025 there is some easier way how to get off this contract, but I feel like Kyler is your guy. You are rolling with him. Unless he's massively injured or Call of Duty has patches every week, I think you are good to go. Sorry, Kyler, I had to. So that's why I'm not even listing any backups, because it doesn't feel like this is the year that you necessarily trying to win now. So you don't need to bring a pricey veteran backup in order to hold the reins when Kyler is injured, or if he gets injured. And I feel like they will roll with the approach that, if he gets injured, we will pick up someone from the street like we did with Josh Dobbs, and it's just gonna work just fine. And they brought, I thought that would be the approach. And I mean, in a way, they kind of did that because they brought Desmond Ridder, who I like. Even solid backup feels like maybe it's a bit too much, like a bit too nice for him because like that was ugly. That was ugly what he was putting up in Falcons jersey. But again, I feel like this trade actually signals, yeah, this is an inconsequential position for us. We are having a cheap guy there that maybe there is some hidden potential that he will unlock, but we are not worried about this position because like if Keller gets injured, our season is going downhill and we don't necessarily uh, have super high incentives like to stop that because we are not expected to do much this season. Then we look at the running back room, and James Conner, what a year it was for him. Like he was excellent, man. Like when you imagine the situation that he was put in last year, especially like first 8 7 8 weeks without Kyler, it was like not really great offensive line in front of him, and I'm like being nice to that. And there was really not that much threats that the teams would need to, account for, so they could try to maybe stuff up the box a little bit more because, like in terms of Josh Dobbs and the weaponry they have in terms of wide receivers and tight ends, it's not like you had to fear that, right? And he still produced on an elite level. Like he had an absolutely outstanding season. He was making tough yardage after contact because he was contacted really a lot, quite early, like after behind the line of scrimmage, and he really made the most out of it. But there were some reports about him actually not being happy with his contract, that he wanted to hold out for the season. And as much as I don't, I'm not against players holding out, players looking out for their best interest. I actually don't think it's in his best interest to do it because he's 29. The last season was really an outlier on his career. Like he played on a level that he did not play before. And can he repeat that? Given his age, there's definitely question marks. Also, like if Arizona would make the playoffs, would win the division, or would win a Super Bowl, then that production actually means much more. But that production gave them maybe one victory more in a season that really, in a way, does not matter. Like, you understand, like, I love that he played so great, but you are much more keen to pay the guys if their production actually gave you something in terms of, at least we play a playoff game. We won the division, or we won something meaningful, because whether it's like we won 6 games instead of 5, is that really a reason why you want to pay 29-year-old running back that had one amazing season? No, it's not. And he would presumably want it to be paid by the standard of that season. And again, that's just a big no-no. I'm very happy if that was the case, because it was just reports. I did not actually see him saying that, so it was just reports. If it was the case, and Arizona was like, no, we are not paying you, I am totally on board with that. But okay, let's put the ball in James' corner, like side of the field, because with Kyler back, I feel like you will have more opportunities as a running back to actually have much more free lane because of the way that defense will have to adapt to Kyler and him being a dual threat QB. There's also, I think some improvements or at least some growth in terms of offensive line. So that should also provide you with like better protection for your running lanes. And if you produce, maybe not even at the level that you did last year, but on a good enough level, I think there is still one good contract for you, like 3 years, 18 millions type of deal, which in today's RB market, in today's NFL, given your age, I feel like that would be a win for James Conner. And if he repeats what he did last season, maybe it's 3 years 25, maybe it's even 3 years 30 millions. But yeah, the age and the market, it's just it doesn't really say so. In terms of the rest of the running backs, I am not that thrilled about bringing or signing both Michael Carter and DJ Dallas, because I feel like Amari DeMarcado, as your cheap, still a rookie option, would be very good fit for the number 3 running back role. So I would be like, yeah, bring Michael Carter or DJ Dallas, but not both of them, because now I feel like DeMarcado might get stuck on the depth chart for not particularly great reasons. So yeah, bit worried about the signings, but yeah, whatever. Like, if DeMarcado shows himself up to speed, like, you are not stomaching like huge contracts in these guys. And in terms of their wide receiver, let's go to the draft, right? Let's go and address the Marvin Harrison situation. I feel like you, as a Cardinals, you have to do at least something to get Marvin Harrison, if it's possible. Because, you know, as I said in the Patriots video, I feel like as an Arizona, this is a great fit. And I still have him higher than Malik Neighbors, and worth spending a bit more to get him. If Patriots try to play hardball and like, yeah, we need 2 firsts for this, like your number 4 and your number 27 for the number 3, I'm not doing that. I feel like that's a steep price. But if it's that 35 pick, yeah, I might listen much more. If it's like 2 thirds this year, yeah, I definitely listen, because I think this is pairing that really will work. That really is something that I, as a fan, and even as a Seahawks fan, I would really like to see the combo of Kyler Murray and Marvin Harrison Jr. And yeah, I just feel like you need to do it. If there is a case, like if Patriots just pick Jaden Daniels, you are happy, happy. Just get Marvin straight up. And if they try to strong arm you, I feel like you should give up to a little bit of pressure, not get your like leg broken of that, you know, not get fleeced. But yeah, I think there's definitely some assets I would give up to get Marvin Harrison Jr. Because with him, this group is actually in an okay spot, right? Because in Michael Wilson, I feel like he had really great rookie season, and if he continues his development, he will be very, very solid number 2. And Zach Pascal, good number 4 wide receiver. Greg Dortch, I feel like, again, good number 4 wide receiver. He is a guy that does not have the physical tools to be an elite guy, but he has like tools here. You know, he gets the position, he gets how to play. He tries to play hard, and it's like such a shame that you cannot give him someone else's body, because I would be intrigued to see what he can do with that body. But for what he is, number 4, number 5 wide receiver that you can count, that he will play hard, that he will try to bring the best out of him every single week. I like that. And maybe say like it's still missing like the number three. I feel like you have Trey McBride as an absolute stud of the tight end in his second year. I feel like he was great, and you saw the chemistry with him and Kyler Murray. Like it was nice to watch when Kyler got back, and it's actually the reason why he like absolutely like ran Zach Ertz out of the town, because like that's his spot. He is the number one tight end here for to stay. You still have him for 2 years on cheap rookie deal, and if he is your number two option in terms of passing game, I like that. I like that. So imagine Marvin Harrison, Trey McBride, Michael Wilson, Zach Pascal, Greg Dortch, and then you have like a combo, like too small for a tight end, maybe too big for a wide receiver type of guy, and Elijah Higgins, who showed some flashes, and I think in this scheme he could work as this like annoying guy that sometimes you put him out there. Defense don't really have schemes prepared for him because he's not like just a regular part of the offense, but he can be like a nuisance and annoyance for like 1-2 big catches a game. So with addition of Marvin Harrison, I overall would feel very good about this room. Of course, if Patriots will pick Harrison up, or if they try to really strong arm you, you are good to go with Malik Neighbors. It's not nothing against Malik, but I just feel like Marvin is just the tier above him. Like it's to me, it's like similar to a conversation like Caleb and Drake. Like I do not doubt that Drake and Malik Neighbors are amazing guys. They will be great NFL players. I think that's the prediction for them, and I stand behind that. But like Marvin and Caleb are those generational type of guys. Like, so that's why I'm really like kind of drooling about. Yeah, you need to do that if that there's a possibility for you to go for it. Let's talk about who is going to protect Kyler Murray going forward and allow you to maybe play a good running game. DJ Humphries, Paris Johnson, Kelvin Beachum. Again, like here in the cards, we are also including the former players, the guys that was on the roster in 2023, but maybe won't be in 2024. That's why DJ Humphries is here. So don't be surprised if you see a guy like he's no longer there. You will see Austin Eckler in Chargers uniform, despite that he is in Washington, etc., etc. Because like here, I wanted to show you what these teams look like last year and how it changes for the season. Will Hernandez, Hjalte Froholt, John Gaines, the second, and Jonah Williams. So that's pretty much the 7 guys of this O-line. I feel like they are worth mentioning, and here is the money situation in regards of them, and here's where we are right now in terms of players that are under contract. So not really that much to speak of in terms of movement. What they pretty much done is they designed DJ Humphries to be released post June 1 and replaced him with, I would say, a slightly worse player in Jonah Williams, but DJ Humphries suffered a gruesome injury, so you are not sure if he's going to be back for week 1. And I feel like that was part of the decision, and Jonah is slightly cheaper, although if you include dead cap hits, it's not by that much as like the contracts would suggest. What this means for Cardinals in a negative sense of a way is they lost veteran presence, then they lost the leader. Like DJ Humphries was really the heart and soul of this offensive line, and losing that might show up as very detrimental. So I hope it won't, but I actually feel like when I'm doing the series, I just don't want to do it just by the numbers, because by the numbers this trade-off makes sense quite nicely. But you have to like try to feel the locker room presence, try to feel the leadership, and I feel like in that area, DJ Humphries might be something they will miss, and it's definitely one area that you need to look into in terms of like if Paris Johnson does not continue his progress. Maybe it's because he is missing this leadership, this veteran presence. But overall, yeah, I just wanted to shout out to the guy, like not just as a player, but as a leader. When you look at it, what is it right now? You are slinging Paris Johnson back to the left tackle where he played last year in his college career. You are signing Jonah as your right tackle. And here, like one thing I want you to see is like they actually made his contract have some void years and not actually have a great cap hit for this season, which to me is weird when you don't follow it up with a move, right? Because like you do this because you want to bring like this huge signing. You are freeing up money for right now because you want to bring someone. And they have not done it so far. So if again, like when I was kind of criticizing the lack of like top talent signings in this offseason, if that will be the case, like in a month, and they still didn't make that big signing, then I will question much more the way they constructed this contract, because like there is unnecessary debt for the future that you are not reaping benefits right now for. So we'll continue to monitor that situation. But in terms of tackles, you are absolutely set. You have Jonah Williams, you have Paris Johnson, you have Kelvin Beacham. You hope Paris continues to develop and he is the rock star. He is the piece that you will build this O-line around. And in Jonah and Kelvin, you have decent enough NFL starters that they should not be something you worry too much on a week-to-week basis. I feel that also applies to two pieces in terms of your inside, and that's Hjalte Frøyholt, who I really like how he played last season. I feel like he solidified himself as one of the top 32 centers in the league. He's definitely in the bottom of this group, but for the money you are paying him, he's not a problem. And I actually feel like there's a value in his contract, but you would like for this contract to be, if it's like 4 million for 2025 and 2026, you feel better about that because I feel like you would have to pay up to that value that he is bringing you right now in the years to come. But it's not like it's a massive value. I feel like he's worth like 6 million. So you are saving some, but not greatest amount. And I feel like that also applies to Will Hernandez, who, again, he should not be a piece you worry about week in, week out. You don't see him develop into some great to good starter, but if you are paying him cheap, you are good to go with him as one of your starting 5 in terms of O-line because of the money to production type of ratio. You obviously, like I mentioned, 4 pieces, and like Kelvin Beacham has a good depth, a good tackle depth, and you are missing that 5th piece in terms of inside or offensive line. Like last year, it was Elijah Wilkinson, who you still have as like a 2 million cap hit for the season, and he could play. Like he's probably a good backup in my view, but he did not strike me as a guy like I need to have in this because he's 29, and I would much rather see John Gaines the second. Because it's not like I optimize winning this year. I still feel like this is not the window for Arizona. Whether it's because like where San Francisco is and when you are actually at. So I would rather see John Gaines playing. If he is an absolute, like shit show out there, then you put Elijah Wilkinson in. But other than that, I really hope that either play John Gaines or they will use like the third round or maybe even second round pick to address this position in this year's draft. If somehow Powers Johnson fall into number 27, I feel like he is definitely a pick that you should go for, because like he is listed as a center, but he can definitely play guard, especially in his rookie season. And then if Hjorte Frøyholt has to like drop down or he wants unreasonable amount of money, you are good to go with Powers Johnson going forward as a center. And if not, if like you can have Hjorte on cheap, I feel like Powers Johnson makes sense as a guard as well. So if he falls into the number 27, I feel like he is a prime candidate that you should have in your eyesight. So that's overall for the offense. I feel like there should be they should address this with number 4 and possibly number 27 pick. Definitely with number 4, whereas Marvin Harrison or Malik Neighbors, I'm like pretty sure that's what's going to happen. Like I don't see, because of how this tackle room is constructed, you don't see a play for Joe Alt. And in terms of bringing some D lineman or edge guy, like inside D lineman or the edge guy, like number 4 is very rich. So I can see one thing that they might do if they get T. Higgins as their splash signing. I can see them actually trading down from number 4, hoarding another lot of picks for that, and address the D-line concerns with whatever picks you get for the number 4. But even if that would be the case, if they got T. Higgins, I would still be advocating, still take Marvin Harrison and just rock and roll with this offense, make this a vocal point, add strength on strength, and actually imagine Kyler Murray, James Conner, Trey McBride, T. Higgins, Marvin Harrison. I think that would be, with formidable O-line in front of Kyler, that would be very interesting to watch. And yes, Seahawks fan, okay, maybe don't do that, Cardinals. Keep it cool. We just lost all of our safeties. Keep it cool. So that would be it for this part of the team, for the offense. And now let's shift to the defensive side of the ball. So we start with addressing D-line and linebacker room. Again, we go Dennis Gardeck, Cam Thomas, Kazir White, BJ Ojulari, Victor Dimkeje, I hope I'm saying it right, and Zayvon Collins. Wow, here there are maybe some additions in Justin Jones, Bill Nichols, and the guy you already have in Roy Lopez. I mean, on this picture he looks like a fan that is being pictured in front of his machine. So, I kind of like the vibe of this picture, because it's just to me it feels cool to actually see the guys in other than strictly NFL type of environment. So here is where we were before the season, before the free agency, and here's where we are right now. So they did not make as many moves as I would have expected, because especially that inside of defensive line last year was not something you look at and you're like, yeah, we don't need help. You do need a lot of help. So let's just look where they are right now. Let's start with the age group. There's a bunch of guys. You can say that. There's a bunch of guys. Whereas new signing in Bill Nichols, I don't necessarily see him as the guy that you are happy if he's your number 1 or number 2. You have BJ Ojulari that you hope is gonna improve. Follow up on not great rookie season, but it was not. You are not calling him a bust after a season like this. LJ Collier, like taking a flyer on former first round pick, why not? It's like $1 million, why the hell not? But like it would actually suck for me personally if he worked, because he's obviously the former Seahawk and the guy that we spent, I think it was 19th pick in the draft, and he like never showed anything, got injured. So really bad memories with LJ Collier. And then you have guys like Kazir White, Zayvon Collins actually being made this not actually being made much more of an edge guy than rather like inside linebacker, because they value that he can drop into the coverage. It's like an interesting change of position for him, and it actually worked kind of solid in the year one. Like he was definitely not some amazing pass rusher, but he was not bad at it. And the other parts of the game that he was bringing from the edge, especially in terms of coverage, yeah, they were still there. So it's a lot of guys that you don't necessarily feel like they will make difference day in, day out, week in, week out. But you're not like worried about this group. You have some interesting potential. And in terms of insight, you brought Justin Jones to like be presumably the number one guy here. Again, when you look at this contract, it's 6.5 million cap hit this season and 12 million 2025 and 12.5 in 2026. Again, says to me, we want to make a splash, and you still have not made it. So guys, do it. Rather sooner than later. And as obviously they still have Roy Lopez and Victor Dimukeji. But I feel like it's still a group that needs help, that needs to be addressed in the draft. And yeah, that's pretty much it. Like in terms of like inside linebackers, you have McWilson. Again, Owen Pappoe as a guy that you can take a chance on. But overall, I was expecting more towards this group. Like in terms of edge, I feel like you are good to go. Like I don't necessarily see that you would address this group, because there's a bunch of guys that are good or decent NFL starters, and you will rotate. You maybe slide some of them, like play more of the inside role, but that inside, I don't think you adjust as much as you should. And I would still like to have another like good linebacker next to Mike Wilson, because Owen Pappoe, I think ideally is your number 3 guy, but not number 2. So not very good room. Some promise, yes. And like guys like Zayvon Collins and BJ Ojulari and McWilson, like there are pieces that might be very interesting going forward. I feel like you need to have a conversation whether you pick up or not the 5th-year option of Zayvon Collins, and I feel like he showed enough with his new role that 13.2 million is a price that you should stomach for him in 2025, because if he follows up on that and he becomes like your very good number 2 edge piece, then yeah, that's the money well spent there. And even if he like is what he was this season, it's just a slight overpay. So I would probably pick it up, but it's definitely not a slam dunk to do it. And now let's move to secondary. And we start with Buda Baker, Jalen Thompson. They're 2 stars of the secondary, with the addition of Sean Murphy-Bunting in this picture, with Garrett Williams, K.J. Clark, and Antonio Hamilton. This picture, yeah, I'm not sure if I'm doing him a favorite by this picture. But to me, it shows passion, right? It really shows passion, or maybe a pain, I'm not sure. So, this room is actually quite small, like in terms of guys I want to talk about. We start with safeties, that's definitely a strength of this group in terms of Buda Baker and Jalen Thompson. I have to think, but I feel like combining, you should have at worst top 5 safety group in the league. You are paying them to be so. These 2 guys have like 30 million cap hit combined. I feel like Buda did not have an outstanding year, and there's gonna be talk like how much should we pay him going forward. And with Jalen, like, yeah, they are good pieces, very good players. I feel like they are worth the contracts they are on, but they are not bringing you like some massive value. Like maybe Buda on 70 million and Jalen on 14 would be much more, like, slightly more accurate, but it's like combining them. It's not, one of them is like crazy value, and that that actually counters the other being like the liability for the money we're paying him. No, very good group, very good players. You are paying them to be very good players. Not much to add. And especially you kind of need that because your cornerback room is. I remember when I talked about Washington cornerback room being bottom 5, and in terms of actual quality right now, and I feel like that's they can shake hands with Arizona, and in terms of actual quality right now, I feel like they are even over them. But obviously for the whole secondary, you have Buda Baker, you have Jalen Thompson, which like Washington has nowhere near that kind of safeties. And so in terms of overall secondary, this group is not like horrendous. It's definitely not the worst group in the league by any meanings. But in terms of cornerbacks, that's again, like, I thought that maybe the splash would come here. There was L'Jarius Sneed. He only cost the 4th round pick, Titans. So you tell me that you could not take number 90 pick in this year's draft and send it to the Kansas, getting L'Jarius out of the conference and actually making this group elite with an elite guy, and Sean Murphy-Bunting as your number 2 option, Garrett Williams and K.J. Clark as this development prospect. I mean, suddenly you look at this and this is the strength of your team. And obviously you would have to pay L'Jarius Sneed a lot of money, but you have money to make one big signing. Why would that not be L'Jarius Sneed? Like, the price was very small, you have the money, and it's like like, okay, like it's there are several interesting cornerbacks in the draft, and they are definitely on board to taking them, whether it's number 27 pick, number 35, like they will address this position in the draft. I'm like pretty sure of that, but you kind of have your interesting prospects in Garrett Williams and K.J. Clark. I mean, they are probably not as good as the guys you will pick in this year's draft with with 27 or 35 pick, but you have these pieces. You don't have to waste the draft. No, not a waste the draft. Spend the draft. I'm sorry, it's not a waste. You don't have to spend these draft picks on them if you have L'Jarius Sneed, because you have the upside of these guys. So I felt like they missed on this one kind of hard. Like, yep. But overall, addition of Sean Murphy-Bunting gives you at least some good floor. He didn't have really a very good season last year, but he is still a decent NFL player. And again, look at his contract. It's 6 million cap hit this year, and then 10 and 9.5 million next 2 years. Again, the contract is contracted in a way that you are making a splash. But where is the splash? Arizona, please tell me where the splash is coming, because it seems like the guys that you could be splashing for are being taken by Titans. Like, you should be able to outbid Titans. You have more resources, and I feel like you have a better situation than Titans overall, because you are kind of certain with your QB of the future. You have still a young head coach, but that proved last year quite a good things. So, what is going on, man? Like, I am really kind of upset about this. As I recall it in myself, I'm kind of upset because it really feels like they've said a lot of, hey, we are trying to make the splash, and there is no B. Where is the splash? So I hope it's not like Splash by Magikarp, for the fans of Pokemon. I'm not disrespecting Pokemon. Shout out to Jameson Williams. So overall, the secondary is very split up. You have, like, here is your safeties, here's your safety group, and somewhere here is your cornerback room. And now just let's talk a bit about the special teams and the coaches. I have to give a lot of credit to Jonathan Gannon and what he made with really lackluster talent last season. I felt like he made like the most out of it in a way in terms of their defense. And I'm not going to like come back into presentation to like the slide number 1 when I actually put to him like the Chinese wall, because I feel like if you put some resources into the defense, Ajari Sneed, I'm gonna repeat myself, I feel like he could be the one that makes this group really special. As it stands right now, I feel like he just doesn't have resources for that. And I'm really like, that's why I'm actually intrigued by the possibility of actually drafting down from number 4 if there is like a huge bid on the table. Perhaps Vikings trying to move for like JJ McCarthy, and they will give you their 2 first-round picks and something more. Then maybe you just do that and you put like a lot of tier 2 prospects for Jonathan Gannon to play with, and you address wide receiver as well with the tier 2 guys, and you are like, Keller, here's the weapons. They are not the top notch, but you should make the most out of it because we are paying you top bucks. Like, while I would not do it, but I'm not like necessarily against it, because I feel like it opens up very interesting possibilities. So Jonathan Gannon, I feel like he is the hit. I feel like he is going to be here to stay. He is the defensive guru in my head, and again, like, as a general manager of, like, virtual general manager of Arizona Cardinals, I want to see him with more pieces to play with and just see what he can do with the defense. I'm not gonna talk much about Naglalis or like at all, because I feel like it's Jonathan Gannon's defense, so it's gonna be hard to give him like way too much credit anyway. And in terms of Drew Petzing, I feel like he's brought up scheme that fits very well with what this offense is all about. It fits Kyler Murray, it brings the best out of Trey McBride, and again, just want to see him with Marvin Harrison, and it could be very interesting, if they actually bring like T. Higgins into this mix. That could be a very formidable offense, and I feel like Drew Petzing is not the guy that's gonna hold it back. I don't necessarily have him as like super high or like next head coach type of offensive guru type of list, but I think he's not gonna hold this offense back, and if anything, he's gonna be a positive influence. In terms of special teams, oh, what a season it was for the veteran Matt Prater. He like find his legs again. Like he was making even like I think like he made his longest kick of his career, which is like crazy given his age. And he was really good. Like, do I expect him to continue to be what he was last season? No, but he should be okay. He should definitely be good guy for you. And the same I feel like is for Blake Gillikin. It's like in terms of last year performance, Matt was here and Blake was kind of there. But I feel like given the age of Matt, they should both be like good players that won't lose you games, most likely won't win you one, but they are the guys you can count on. Last but not in terms of the meaning, we will talk about the window of Arizona and how it coexists in terms of other windows for their team in their division. So it's a weird division because you have San Francisco, who just went into the Super Bowl and lost in overtime. Very close game. They were at one point they were huge favorites to win it, based on the odds, and they came up short. And their window, I feel like, will be open at least for 2 more years because you are not paying Brock Purdy anything, and he is playing very well. So you can afford the plethora of amazing players that they have, whether it's Fred Warner, Joey Bosa, CMC, Deebo Samuel, Trent Williams, you name it. Like they have like so much talent, like so much amazing pieces on the roster, and it's all like possible because you have very good QB on a contract that you are paying him nothing. Like for 2 more years, I think like the window is wide open for San Fran. They will have to eventually like address this situation because they cannot afford to have that many stars, when they will have to pay Brock Purdy. And even right now, it's with Brandon Ayuk, they are hesitant to pay him because they know that eventually this is going to be a problem. They are like bringing some money into the future. I feel like maybe 2026 will be that bridge year for them when they will pay the debts of the sins of trying to win Super Bowl right now. But for 2024 and 2025, I feel like they are here to try and win Super Bowl. Like they are that team. And I feel like with Rams, they might be a sneaky dark horse for me in this year's NFL. But then Aaron Donald retired, and that's a huge blow. I feel like their offense is amazing. I'm again like when I watch defense with Seattle, I'm like, yeah, it's good that we brought Mike McDonald in because Kyler Murray and this offense with Parman Harrison, San Francisco offense with like Deebo, Ayuk, CMC, Trent Williams, Brock Purdy, and Rams offense with Matthew Stafford, Puka Nacua, Cooper Kupp. Just forget. Is it like they're running with Kieran Williams? Yeah, I'm sorry. I think like I forgot his first name, but that's some offenses, man. Like that, it's almost offensive to have so many good offenses in your own division. So I feel like the Mike McDonald has really his work cut out for him in Seattle. But for the Rams, I'm not sure where that leaves them because definitely like when you lose a guy like Aaron Donald, it's such a huge blow. It's a guy that every offense that is playing against him has to scheme around him. So they might be just way too mediocre in terms of defense to be really a contender. But yeah, they're in kind of a weird situation because I felt that they would be in a win now mode. But with this retirement, it's gonna be hard. But I feel like they still will try to milk the last great years of Matthew Stafford, Cooper Cup and try to win now in a way. And in terms of Seattle, I think it's more rebuild within a rebuild in a way. Like, kind of did the rebuild thing in 2022 that actually ended up with them being very, very good. But last year was a huge disappointment. It was like a step down from the performance. Some of the players did not follow up on what they showed in 2022, and obviously like Jamal Adams situation happened. Like, you are paying the guy that you spent 2 first round picks, you are paying him top bucks, and he's just a no show. So they are kind of cleaning the house. They not necessarily like. I feel like they're in a similar window with Arizona. Like 2024 is not their year. It's not the year that they necessarily target. But 2025 and going forward, they would like to be competitive very, very much. So it's hard for Arizona because I feel like this is very, very good division, and you have the top dogs in terms of 49ers, and you have these two teams that are not bad enough to like go and be like the bottom 5 teams in the league by any stretch of imagination. But they are not necessarily like in a super win now window that they would like jeopardize their future. That like in 2 years, because they are like paying to win now, they will have to pay for it in like 2 years. So their window is kind of similar to yours, and it's more like what they will do in terms of draft that will show more about like how they will approach this situation. If Seattle, for example, whether it moves up or waits who is going to fall into them in terms of QB, then you kind of know, yeah, it's not 2024, it's 25, 26 and going forward. The same could be definitely said about the Rams. So you have a tough division. You don't have like like when I talked about Patriots or Commanders, like 2026, I can see you be a favorite because of other team drop-offs and you rising. Here, I don't have that year where I feel like Arizona, if they do things right and other teams continue as I project them, they will be a huge favorite. But it's not like they are out of it any single year, because I feel like they are doing good enough job to be competitive, and they have six picks in top 90 of this year's draft, and they still have some money. So yeah, we will see what kind of route they will take in terms of draft. Whether it's like take this developmental prospects and focus on like slow rebuild, optimizing like 2026, or if we are in like we actually want to attack playoff this season and maybe actually target 2025 as the year where we try to win like the whole thing. So I feel like that covers it for the Cardinals. Thank you very much for listening, and see you next time when we will talk about the Chargers. There's a lot of interesting topics there. Whether it's a new Harbaugh in the league, where it's like what the approach is actually gonna be in terms of you have Justin Herbert, really pass heavy guy that you want him to pass the ball a lot, kind of mashing up with Harbaugh's like pound the football, make it more about run, with that cleaning house in terms of letting go of Mike Williams and Keenan Allen. All of it in Chargers episode. See you next time. If you like this, give me a like. If you hate this, please give me a comment. Say what should I do like better for you. If I omit some guys in this rundown, let me know. If it's guys like you expect to have big roles in this team and you thought like I should talk about them much more. And overall, any comments, whether it's on graphics, on like my English, whatever, I appreciate any interest into these videos whatsoever. See you guys, have a nice day, and see you with the Chargers. Bye!